All right, before we start doing problems of graphing quadratic functions, we need to understand a few things. First of all, earlier we learned how to solve a quadratic equation. The difference is when this equals 0, that's a quadratic equation. When y is equal to this, or f of x, y equals f of x, then it's called a quadratic function, and you can graph it. Now remember, the y-intercept is where a graph crosses the y-axis. Yeah? So first of all, this is the shape. This is all called a parabola. And this is the basic shape. It might open up, it might open down, but this is the shape of the graph of a quadratic function. It's called a parabola. All right, so back to our vertices. The y vertex, remember, where the graph crosses the y axis, the y-intercept happens, what do we do to find them? If you remember back in linear equations, what did we do to find the y-intercept? Well, we let x equal 0 because everywhere on the y-axis, our x value is 0, right? So to find the y-intercept, all we do is let x equal 0, and it's going to be our value of c, yeah? If it's written like this. Second thing, how do we find the x-intercept? So that's where the graph crosses the x-axis. Well, back to what we learned before, we learned to find x-intercepts. Well, on this axis, y is always 0. So we set this equal to 0, which takes us back to solving quadratic equations. So really, the quadratic equations, you could think of it as letting y equal 0, and what you're finding is where the graph crosses the x-axis, or the x-intercepts. So when we set this equal to 0 and solve, we're finding these 2 points. When we let x equal 0, and we get this number, that would be the number where it crosses the y-axis. That would be c. Now, when you graph a parabola, you have the point at the bottommost part. That's called the vertex. When your function is written like this, the vertex, the x-coordinate, the x value of the vertex is minus b over 2a. Right? So that's that. However, sometimes we can graph an equation that looks like this. Instead of writing our quadratic function like this, we could write it like this. And we're going to learn how to do this in the following videos. When it's written like this, the vertex is the point HK. Right? So those are some of the basics, the fundamentals we need to be familiar with to solve to graph quadratic functions. There's one other thing I forgot. The vertical line that goes through the vertex, that vertical line is called the axis of symmetry. And it's exactly that. It's the line, if you think of this as a sheet of paper, if I folded it right there, when I fold it over, this would lie right on top of that. That's what symmetry is. It's a mirror image. That's why this is called the axis of symmetry. What's the equation for that line, for the axis of symmetry? Well, remember, all vertical lines, the equation is x equals some number. Well, what is the x value? It's minus b over 2a. So this is the x-coordinate. When I say that, remember, x, y, this is the x-coordinate, this is the y-coordinate. This point, the x value is this, and then the y value is some other number. The equation of this vertical line is this right here. X equals minus b over 2a. It's just whatever this number is in your vertex, that's the equation. So it's pretty easy to find the equation of the vertex. So in the videos that follow, we're going to do some examples of graphing quadratic functions.